All right, hello and welcome to another one of our virtual dev meetups, July dev meetup. This is going to be focused on next-gen automation. Thank you all for being here. As we are coming in, please feel free to drop in the chat where you're zooming in from today. Please only mention your cities. I know that last time we had someone mention their coordinates as well, but let's just keep it to city and state. That would be enough information for us. I'm your host, Shreya. I'm a technical community specialist here at Automation Anywhere. And today we have our co-host. Some of you may know him already. And some of you who tuned in to our last dev meetup may know him through the dev meetup. And please join me in welcoming Inacio to co-host.
Yes, thanks, Shreya. It's
Yeah,
really nice to be here, interact with the community, and talk a lot about the product launches, the use cases, and stuff.
yeah, we're really happy to
Mm.
have you here. Yes, please keep those applause emojis coming in the chat. And we have a really great lineup today. We also have Nishikant, who's a director of product management, and we have Arjun as well, who's a director of community and learning. So yay, please keep those applause emojis coming in the chat. Don't let them stop. And yeah, without further ado, I'm just gonna start presenting the screen. And once we have that live, all right, I'm now going to hand this over to Inacio. Inacio, over to you.
Yes, thank you. So today we have, like the way Shreya said, we have Arjun, we have Nishikant, we have myself. We are going to be presenting the next gen process composers and the PRE, the process reasoning engine. Before that, initially, there are a few announcements to be done over here. That is, sure, can we have a side change? Yes.
Yeah.
So that's the next gen automation, like the way I said, the process composer 2.0 with the process reasoning engine, how these take place, the implementation, how the code is done. Then we have a use case demo by me on the implementation of the process composer. And finally, we have a few Q&A session, a closing environment, the closing announcements. And yeah, we have a few announcements before that as well. Shreya, can we go on the next slide? Yes. So today's webinar is recorded. We will be sharing the YouTube link shortly. And all attendee lines are muted. If there are any issues that come up, like say suppose the video that is being shared is not visible, or if audio or anyone that is speaking but is not audible, please post that on the chat. If there are any Q&As or any suggestions, any comments, please feel free to post that on the Q&A tab. We will be responding to all Q&A. Yes, over to Arjun and Nishi for the safe harbor notice.
All right. Hey, thank you, Nashu and Shreya. Hey, good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, everyone, wherever you are across the geography. So, as we do with every session, so I'll start with the safe harbor. So there are going to be slides or let's say screens where we may be showing futuristic uh, features or products. So whenever you're making any decisions of buying, please do so based on what's already available. And for whatever unknown reasons, there is a chance that some of the roadmap slides what we showed today can miss the timeline or it could be changed. With that, let's get started. So the first topic that we are going to present today is next-gen process composer. So I'm sure most of you may have heard about it either through our Imagine sessions in case you have attended or through earlier What's New webinar of 37 or even through our release announcements. Now, this is one of the latest innovations that we have in version 37, Next-Gen Process Composer, or you can also call it as Process Composer 2.0. Now, before I get into the details, let me just get started with the agentic process automation system of Automation Anywhere. Right now, agentic process automation enables our customers to automate their most mission-critical operations by orchestrating across RPA tasks, APIs, AI agents, and people. And the best part is it blends the deterministic automation with cognitive intelligence. So it enables your systems to handle both rule-based tasks and the context-driven decisions. So which means you can automate not just what is predictable, but also what requires reasoning, right? And that is exactly what we are trying to depict here. So we have agentic orchestration, which basically lets you bring together your documents, human in the loop, your RPA task APIs through the automation system. And then we have agentic system, basically, which brings all the Gen AI and AI capabilities together, allowing you to bring it into your automations. And now, with the power of process reasoning engine, it basically takes it to the next level where it can make decisions through the reasoning capabilities. And on top of that, we have various agentic solutions based on different verticals, horizontals that can be readily deployed by our customers. And also, new announcement that we're making in 37 is human agent collaboration. Yes, we did have a Copilot earlier, but now this goes to the next level where the users, business users, can start using the automations using natural language, making it much more seamless, right? And with this new agentic process automation, you will be able to drive up to 10 times the business impact and expand your automation footprint by covering at least 80% of your processes into your organization. Now, going into the main topic, which is the next in process composer, right? Now, to bring the agentic process orchestration into life, we have completely reimagined the way processes are designed and managed. And for that, we are introducing the next gen process composer, and it addresses three key areas that's going to benefit our customers. First, it enables you to automate the complex business processes which require support for, let's say, parallel branches, event-based continuation of flows, loops, or even better exceptional handling. And with more and more customers moving towards automating their end-to-end processes, we can be sure of seeing complex processes of all sizes, simple to complex, small to large, right? And the new process composer also comprises of new features and major enhancements to the user experience, getting deep into how the process is modeled and also navigating between different automations much more seamlessly. Those of you who have, let's say, developed various type of automations, API tasks, processes, or RPA tasks, I'm sure you would agree that the experience of building these different types of automations is quite disjoint and also cumbersome. You have to do a lot of context switching. You'll always have to jump back and forth between your editors and repository, and definitely not a very seamless process or experience. However, with this new process composer, we have a unified editor experience, which will change your experience for good with this modern interface. And with the inclusion of swim lanes, parallel execution, events, etc., which are part of BPM notations, both the business and IT personas can work collaboratively in building the end-to-end process automations. And I'm sure most of you would say that the real value of any well-built process automations can be realized only if you can measure. And with the new design, we are ensuring that you can capture both the business ROI and operational insights and be able to monitor the processes in real time. Now, let's look at what are the major enhancements, right? So what is new, what has changed? Now, the first and foremost thing that we have actually focused on the overall modeling experience. Now, we have a brand new canvas, which has additional functionalities like swim lanes, so you can organize your different nodes as per your swim lanes. You can also have your nodes which are completely disconnected. So let's say if you're building a quite large process and also multiple users or developers are working on it, you can always keep adding your nodes and build it iteratively. So it doesn't need to be that you have to keep mapping or let's say connecting all your nodes just to make it work, right? So you can also have your nodes completely disjoint or unlinked and still be able to work and as well as run your automations. And there are enough capabilities or tools within the canvas that lets you zoom or even let's say move across your entire large process quite easily. Now, one thing that you would definitely see is the error handling is much better in this new process composer. It's in line with what our experience you had in your bot editor. Apart from that, the overall other sections of the canvas like left panel, toolbar, property panel, they all have been enhanced so that it's much more intuitive for you as well as you don't have really have to go through a big learning curve. Apart from that, let's say if you're updating your field values either through expressions or something complex, we have a new wizard-based interface through which you can update or add quite complex expressions as well. And whenever we talk about process automations, right, it involves building your task boards, APIs, so basically all the different types of automations into one single canvas. Now, if that is the case, there is going to be a lot of time where you have to jump across these various automations. Today, as I said earlier, you'll always have to either open them in new tab or close your editor and go to the report to open the next automation. Now, all that changes with breadcrumbs. So with breadcrumbs, you'll be able to jump across different automations without having to exit your editor. And with all of these new changes and enhancements or features, overall canvas looks much more clean. The overall space usage is optimized and gives you a much better understanding of the flow as well. Now, one important note that I would like to announce is in version 37 with Process Composer 2.0, you won't be able to use your Copilot for Automators and Autopilot. However, in case you still want to use this, you have ability to switch back to your old or legacy editor and use these two tools. But in version 38, we'll bring back the support for Copilot for Automators and Autopilot with this new Process Composer. Sorry. Now, without further ado, let me jump into the live demo. All right, so here you see the Process Composer. Well, do not fret. No, this is not the new Process Composer. I just wanted to show you the old Process Composer just to give you an idea of how things have changed, how the experience has changed. So this is exactly what the old or the legacy editor looked like, where you couldn't really move around the nodes. You always had to follow just the rigid top to bottom flow. There is no way you can even change the positions of these nodes, right? It was quite, I would say, not an easy user experience, as well as the amount of capabilities that you had on the canvas to do certain operations was not available, or even the property panels, I would say, did not have enough help text to give you clear understanding of what each of these properties meant. Well, let's look at how the new process composer looks like. It's the same process, but it looks much more cleaner, gives you the exact idea of what exactly this flow is all about, because we have swim lanes, so all the nodes have been organized based on different logical ways, right? You can either organize them based on, let's say, the logical stages that a process is going through, or the different teams that are participating, or even different departments or the type of applications you're automating. And not just that, you can move around your nodes as per your requirement or to make it logically look right. Now, on the left, as you see, the pane has been revamped. All the logical types of tasks have been grouped together with, I would say, consistent color coding. All the conditionals have a different color coding. And not just that, when you hover over them, it also gives you a small snippet to explain you what exactly this particular task is all about, right? Now, when you have to start building, you can add, let's say, drag and drop your tasks, conditions, or events in multiple fashions. For example, the easiest and most common way is obviously we are dragging and dropping the task onto the canvas, like you see here. Now, apart from that, there are also other ways to make it easy for you. For example, if you're, let's say, working on a large process, sometimes it's easy for you to just go to the next node and try adding the next set of tasks. For example, here I have this quick add option. I can just click this and you'll get to see all the tasks that you can add at this particular place. Now, this is a contextual menu. What it means is based on exactly where you're trying to add, this menu or the items change here. For example, here I'm trying to add between if and the other node. So I can add API tasks, processes, and others. Whereas if I'm going to try adding, let's say, next to or between if and else, then I'll be able to add only else if, because logically that's the only node I can add between if and else. So the entire quick add option is contextual based on where exactly you are. Now, apart from that, there are also other ways for you to add the new nodes. For example, let's say if you're already aware of some of the other automations or document validations that you would want to add, you don't need to drag and drop and then map them, right? Typically, you would have to drag and drop and then select the corresponding automation. Whereas if you're already aware or you know what automation needs to be added, you can always come here, switch for a particular file and add them here. All right. Now what you saw is it got added outside of the existing flow. And the reason for that is I had not selected any existing automations. So the reason I wanted to also show you is you can add your nodes even outside of your completely mapped flow, meaning you can keep them unlinked or I would say not connected to your main flow and still be able to, let's say, add all the details, update them as and when required. So this allows you to basically build iteratively. So let's say you have got your requirement for, let's say, 70-80% of your flow. So you start building them. But for rest of them, you can still add the nodes, keep them updated. And when you get your complete requirement or if there are any changes in the flow, you can always connect them. So for example, I can also manually connect some of these. So I can remove this node. Give me just a moment. All right. So I can drag and drop and connect to this. And so you have all the flexibility to keep changing the mapping between different nodes. All right. And as I keep making changes, you'll see that I always click on undo option. Now, the reason for that is I wanted to highlight that the undo capability also is quite powerful. And the reason is it undoes not just what you're doing on the canvas, but also the changes that you may have updated in the property panel. So each and every change that you do across your canvas and the property panel can be undone. So it's quite powerful and has a bigger memory. All right. Now, these are some different ways for you to add new nodes or tasks in the process. Now, apart from that, the other things that I would like to highlight is the toolbar. Let's say if you have an existing process and you want to make few bulk changes because there is a change in the requirement or some change in the business process, you can always come to the toolbar, search for a specific uh, text. You can use a simple search option here, or you can also use the advanced search option. Even here, you have the flexibility to search across the canvas as well as on the property panel. And you have that option control right here. So you can say whether you want to search across only canvas or including text values and variable names as well. And the good part is it gives you all the matches here. And as soon as you click them, it takes you right there. Okay. Apart from search, if you are looking to replace any existing values in bulk, even that can be done here. Now, other things that you'll notice here is you also will be able to add and remove the swim lanes. Although I did talk about this, let me just show you how a big process like this looks without the swim lanes, just to give you an idea of how important it is to organize your flow based on swim lanes. So if I remove all these swim lanes, this is how it looks like. Yes, you have laid the entire flow based on the logical steps, but then it still doesn't give you an idea of who are the different participants in this process flow or what are the different departments that actually are involved, or even logically, what are the different stages that it is going through. Whereas the moment you organize them based on swim lanes, you see here, it gives a completely different picture. So it gives you a clear understanding of the different participants' roles or different departments playing a part in this process. Now, when you add swim lanes, there are different ways you can add swim lanes. For example, when I click on add swim lane, you can either add horizontal swim lanes like what we saw, or you can also add vertical swim lanes. Right? So you have flexibility to change the names of swim lanes or even have multiple swim lanes as is. So let me just go back to the horizontal swim lanes and show you how powerful it is. So let's say if you're trying to move around your nodes between the swim lanes and by mistake you're trying to place them somewhere in between, like overlapping lines. So automatically it pushes to the swim lane where the most or the maximum area of that particular node is. So it automatically identifies that. So it will not never allow you to place in between two swim lanes. And apart from that, as I said, typically when you're working on a large process, you need to have good control on how you navigate across the flow. For that, we have various tools on the bottom left. So first is Minimap. Minimap basically gives you a bird's eye view of the entire flow. as well as lets you navigate to different corners of your flow quite easily, right? If you had to do without the minimap, obviously you'll have to do a lot of scrolling, whereas with minimap, it's quite easy. Also, if you want to look the entire flow in just one single view, you have the fit view, or you can always zoom in and zoom out using multiple options. You can either use the icons here, or you can use the control and your mouse scroll. And if you're a user who likes to always use the scroller to pan, then you can also change the default mode. You can click on this pan mode, and you can use it to move around the different sections of the flow. Or you can also temporarily click on the space bar and activate the pan mode. Now, let me show you some of the changes in the property panel as well. Right? For example, let's say I click on this bot. As you see here, every property here has an additional or updated help text, giving you a clear idea of what exactly each of the property means. And whenever you have, let's say, a requirement or a need for you to update the variables or input values, you can easily select a simple to complex expressions by using the expression wizard. So let me just show you. So by default, it gives you options to select from variables if you have set or created variables, or you can also select the global values that you have created in your control room, or you can select all the different steps from the process. So in this case, I can see the first step, process request, all the other bots, forms, right? So I can always select one of them. Let's say I select this form. You can select whether you want to pick from the input values, output values, or the meta information. So let me select input values and all the different fields that were part of this particular form. So I can choose purchase order number, and I also have flexibility to change or use the methods to convert them. For example, if I want to change from string to number, you can also use this and click on insert. So as you see here, you can create a quite complex expression easily using the expression wizard. Now, I did mention in the beginning that the overall exception handling or error handling has been improved. So as you see here, it gives an error because I had selected a different type of field or value which doesn't match with the file type. So it also indicates you on the property panel plus also on the assistant. So similar to assistant that you had on the bot editor, you'll be able to see all the issues right here. And it will also automatically take you to exactly the position where you have the error. Now, apart from that, another powerful capability is how do you navigate between different automations that you've added here. For example, I'm working on the supply chain warehouse reception flow, but there's a need for me to go to this particular task bot and actually make some changes, or at least take a look at it to understand if there are any other additional parameters that I need to add. So you don't have to save, exit your current form, and then go to your repository and open. No, you don't have to do that, or you don't have to duplicate your tab and open the bot. Instead, you can come to this property panel, click on this info icon, and look at the basic information right here. And if you want to look at the automation itself or the form, you can just click on this link here. And what this does is it basically opens exactly the same tab, but maintains the entire graph of your how you are moving from one automation to the other automation. So in other terms, you have a breadcrumbs here, which will keep accumulating as in when you move from one file to the other file. And the good part is you don't have to exit out of this. So you can always click on the other link to go back to the other automations. So the same also works for, let's say, API tasks. Yeah. And apart from the breadcrumbs, the other thing that you'll notice is it'll also give you the status right here. So you won't have to close or let's say close your editor and go to your report to look at what is the status of your automation. So it'll clearly show whether it is a cloned one, checked out or edited, or if it has been a new file. So for example, if you go back to the process, it'll show that, okay, this is a file which has been checked out and being edited. Now, a lot of operations that you have to do in the repo after closing your editor. Now, all that can be done from the editor itself. For example, this is a file which I've already checked out. So which means some of the operations that I may want to do is like check in. Now, I don't have to exit the editor. I can click on the option, I can either cancel the checkout so that it goes back to the last checked in version, or I can check in the changes, or even the other options that I typically would need to do from the repository. And for all the interactions that you have in the canvas, in case you want to use shortcuts, you can always click on this keyboard shortcuts and find out what are those shortcuts. Now, for one release, that is until version 38, you have ability to go back to your old editor. So in case you want to go back to old editor for whatever reason, you can click on this three dot menu and click on switch to legacy editor. As soon as you click this, it will take you back to this old editor. But keep in mind that once you go back to the old editor, all the new changes from the new composer or new editor, for example, swim lanes, your entire flow layout gets erased. So whenever you're moving to legacy editor, always keep that in mind and only then go back to the legacy editor. Ideally, there shouldn't be any need or necessity for you to go back to the old editor because all those capabilities, uh, including all the new enhancements, is already available in the new process composer. Now, while you're working on this, if there is a need for you to, let's say, quickly find out more information on something that you're working on, or you're just needing some help on specific type of tasks, you can always make use of the resource or the help center on bottom right. So this gives you various information. For example, it also gives you the product updates. For example, all the top new features of 37 is listed here, or any other product updates as in when is actually published by us will be available here. You can also look at the various resources. For example, if you are looking for all the APIs that we have published, you can look at this API references. You can also look at, let's say if you have some doubt on something that you're working, you can always quickly jump to your community and ask questions and get them responded, or also look at the knowledge base articles. And if you're searching for a specific topic, you can always click on documentation and search for that here. All right. So here is what the new process composer that we just looked at. So let me just get back to my slide. And if you have any questions, please keep them coming through the Q&A option. All right. Now with that, I think it's going to take a few seconds. All right. So with that, we are going to move to the next session where I'm going to show you how the roadmap looks like, right? So after version 37, that's in 38, which is slated for October cloud rollout. So there are going to be new enhancements. For example, now you'll also be able to add AI agents as a new task type. So that becomes a first-class citizen. Apart from that, document extraction also will be available. In fact, document extraction is already available as beta in 37, but in 38, it will be available as a GA capability. So you'll see two new task types on the left pane, AI agents as well as document extraction. And document extraction is something that will also allow you to run this service or an operation on cloud. Apart from that, we'll continue to make enhancements on the modeling and canvas capabilities. And as I said earlier, we'll bring back the support for Copilot for Automators and Autopilot with the new editor. Beyond that, from version 39 onwards, there is still going to be a quite packed roadmap, I would say. For example, we are going to bring some of the advanced capabilities like parallel execution, which is basically either splitting or merging or forking out your flow into different branches and running them in parallel. We'll also be able to trigger your process automations using events, or also have events in between as intermediate events in the flow. Apart from that, we'll have capabilities for you to import BPMN file from within the editor, or also be able to export your processes either to image, PDF, or BPMN. And the modeling capabilities will keep improving. We'll have new capabilities being added every release. Apart from that, we will also be bringing in the debugging capability for process automations, and also as well as give you a good hierarchical view of your automations. For example, when you're working on a process automation, it means you also have other automations linked to it. So how do you get a clear view of it in a hierarchical fashion? Now that also will be available from 39 onwards. Now, after seeing the new process composer, I'm sure there would be quite a few questions. So let me just take few top questions that we keep hearing from our customers, right? Now, will this be available for all types of customers, that is cloud, on-prem community? Yes, absolutely. So this is already rolled out to all the cloud regions, also available for on-prem customers and available in the community edition. And the current version, that is version 37 capabilities, is available for all SKUs, both base and enterprise. However, in future, when we release any advanced capabilities, they may be limited to only enterprise license. And there is no restriction in terms of regions. All the regions on cloud get it. Now, will the old version be supported? Well, as I showed you, for just one release, we will have capability for you to access the legacy editor, but from 38, only the new editor will exist. And what will happen for your existing processes? Well, they'll work as is. So you just open your existing processes, they'll open in the new editor, new process composer, and you should be able to run them as it was. Right. So with that, we come close to the process composer 2.2 or the next in process composer. Next, I'll hand it over to Arjun, who's going to walk us through the new process reasoning engine, which is actually powering multiple tools and be able to generate automations at a faster pace. Over to you, Arjun.
Okay, meanwhile, as we wait for Arjun, maybe we can answer two questions.
Yep.
So one of the my participants have asked, can you explain more about how to create variables for specific users in an approval task?
Okay. Currently, you'll have to only select the users that are in the system. I'm guessing the question is around, can we create a variable called user group? Because I think that's one of the ways you can assign an approval task. Currently, you can't use a user group variable. The only way is either you select the specific users, or you can create a user group at the global variable or global value level, and that can be used, but not at the process level. And I think the second question is, can we undo switching to old editor? Oh, yes, absolutely. Let's say once you have gone back to old editor, even in the old editor, you will have option to get to the new editor. But as I said, keep in mind that whatever changes you had in new editor will anyway be erased. So when you go back to new editor after you have, let's say, made some changes on the old editor, you'll just see a top to down flow. Obviously, you'll have the flexibility to keep moving them around as it was earlier.
Okay. And now I think we can pass on to Arjun.
Okay. Thank you, Shreya and Nishkant. I hope I'm audible.
Yep.
Let me just share my screen and then we will get started. Okay, so welcome everyone again. So as Shreya mentioned earlier, I'm going to talk about the process reasoning engine. But if you see my title slide, it still says Agentic Process Automation powered by Process Reasoning Engine. The reason being, Process Reasoning Engine is the core engine from Automation Anywhere. But what you're going to achieve using this process reasoning engine is the agentic process automation. And I'll also want to brief you about why do you need this process reasoning engine and why do you think Automation Anywhere has the best engine to deliver the APA, that is agentic process automation. So if we just step back, for Automation Anywhere, agentic automation is not a leap. It's a next step in the 20 plus years of our journey. Because initially, when we started with the early APIs, we only had like task bots to do. That was helping you automate, as Nishikant gave you a couple of examples of how much we could automate earlier versus how much are we able to automate now. So initially, we just helped with the RPA automation. But then in the next evolution, we looked at AI augmented automation. What does that mean? We bought an IQbot, that is intelligent document processing system. And then you could also bring in NLP packages. You can see a couple of our packages are there on the bot store, which you could use. And that's where we infuse the AI, but automation was still the core. And now we have evolved over RPA to AI augmented automation, to agentic process automation. Here, we're not just giving specific instructions to perform a particular task. Instead, we are building an agentic ecosystem where the AI agents will have the intelligence to execute your end-to-end processes. One more thing. You may have heard about this agentic solutions, agentic platforms. There's a lot of hype around here, but we just want to make it clear on how automation is different from a lot of other products which you have heard in the market. If you see on the left side, it's mainly personal productivity agents. Couple of examples, like if you ask a question, it'll give you an answer. You want to write an email, you just give it a couple of lines and it'll format it and make it like look amazing. You give a document, it can summarize it and give you in a very crisp format. And if you just want to look smart in a demo, you can all do this fancy things. But essentially, what is it doing under the hood is just automating individual steps. So that's where we want to showcase how the automation anywhere is entirely different. We work on what enterprises actually need. Our platform can coordinate across web, the client applications, and even APIs. We have the legacy of working and building a platform that governs to all the required governance policies, SLAs we can meet, and also human in the loop. This is one important thing which is essential when you are working with AI. You don't want AI to automate everything. So that's where you always have human in the loop so that you as a agent or a executive is always in the control. And with all the combination of these products is where we are able to give you a platform where you can build agents that can actually deliver. So let me introduce you to the process reasoning engine. This is the process intelligence layer which the Automation Anywhere has built over decades of experience looking at over millions of processes across like different customers. We don't look at the customer's business data, but we are looking at only the metadata of all the processes that have been executed. So at the core is our AI automation models. Whether you look at executing processes or RPA, that is the UI automation, or even the documentation, I mean the document processing engine. So we have millions of documents being processed. So that's where the process reasoning engine is all trained on. And this forms the core that will drive a lot of our AI powered solutions. And the next layer is the customer process context. Here, the specialty is you as a customer have your own tenant, have your own environment where you run your automations. And that's where the engine learns the context, but the context learned stays only within your environment. That means your data, your process context, your process intelligence will all stay there. However, it improves over time, and then you get the best of the results. And that combined with our AI agents, which can have like you can give it a goal, you can give it a plan, just like what Nishi mentioned, like what's coming up in .38. We are coming up with a new AI agent builder. However, with the existing process, next-gen process composer, you can build these AI agents right from now. And that's where you can also look at, we have human agent collaboration, and then it works with a lot of tools like the third-party models, everything the reasoning engine makes use of it along with our proprietary models. It is able to provide you the best of the intelligence for your automations. So if it is so good, what does it work for? We have a different kind of product lines that is all powered by this engine. First one, the faster development. This is about Copilot for Automators. You can build your automations just by writing some prompts, and it can build the required automation for you. It can also define variables. It can set the variables, input variables, output variables. You can define what is the code analysis standards you need. It can also create the variables based on the standards you set. And the second product line is the self-healing automation. So this is where we have vision-powered generative recorder. So I'll also show you a little more depth of what all these does, but I want you to have a clear understanding of how the PRE, the process reasoning engine, works behind the scenes. And then intelligent extraction. That's where the document automation comes into picture. You can extract any kind of data from any kind of documentation. And the agent collaboration. This you can do it in two ways. One, you can use it as part of the next gen process composer and also the conversational automation. So I'll show you a couple of more, a little more details about all these product lines so that you have a clear understanding of how the engine is actually helping you build the best of the breed AI plus automations. So again, next-gen process composer, as Nishi mentioned in detail, it's powered by the process reasoning engine. It'll give you a smart start into building your automations. I'll not go into depth of it because Nishi already showed most of the details for this. But just wanted to let you know this is like enhanced by the process reasoning engine. And the next one is the document automation. As I mentioned, again, these are also vision-powered models that work with the proprietary models which we have developed. They work together to get you the best extraction. So you can always ask, like, what is the difference the PRE is bringing in this scenario? As you can see at the bottom left corner, the PRE combines years of our document processing expertise with the proprietary algorithms. So this can help you intelligently extract data from any kind of document, be it structured, unstructured, or semi-structured, and you don't need any kind of training to do with. And generative recorder. So here, we initially had a universal recorder where you could do with the basic web applications. However, if there is any dynamic applications which is changing on an ongoing basis, it was hard for it to keep up. So that's where we have infused LLMs, both the text-based as well as the vision-based. And I'll show you in the next slide how this all comes into picture. Let me just go one slide here. So this is how the generative recorder works. It works in a tiered manner. So the first one was just the plain vanilla universal recorder. So that could do only the deterministic automation. And then we had a native fallback option integrated, which would go to the next level of interacting with the web application and get you the required properties when it is not able to do just with a plain universal recorder. This is again a fallback mechanism. And next, we have the vision fallback. So here, the vision models are working in the background, which understands the layout of the application, and then it identifies where are the objects to be interacted with, and then it will start interacting. And at the end, we also have LLM text-based. So you have options to choose from when you are working with any of the web applications, whether you want to choose native fallback, you want to choose a vision fallback, or even a LLM text-based fallback as well. This will actually help you build self-healing automations, because even while the automation is executing, if there is any change in the application on a real time, it can still identify the properties dynamically and it will still be able to execute smoothly. Okay, and then one more is like the Copilot for Automators. So this is where just using simple prompts, you can write what you're trying to achieve. And with the help of process reasoning engine in the background, it's able to give you the automations. This engine has been built, as I mentioned, over 400 millions of automation executions. Along with that, with your own context in your tenants, it'll be able to extract and add the exact required actions you're looking for. The last one is it is also powering the Copilot for business users. So as you can see on the right side, automation platform has automation Copilot, and it is powered by Amazon Q business, what that does is instead of the agent going to select which automations he want to write, he can even just choose, he can just write a natural language prompt and it can show you the list of automations it has, and then it can choose which is the right automation which has to execute based on the prompt you write as well. And along with this, you can also connect it with your RAG services. That way it can fetch you the required knowledge base for your executive to pick up the solutions. So I'll just quickly show you one demo of how the generative recorder looks like. So right now I have an automation here that works with the Salesforce. First, I'll show you that this is going to work with the Salesforce application, but we don't have any fallback implemented here in the generative recorder. To check this one, like I'll go to the click on this three dots menu, click on settings. And if you have used the recorder package, this will show you all different options, whether you want to choose native fallback or the generative AI vision-based fallback or even the text-based fallback. So right now, I'm not going to choose any of them, and I'll just run this automation for now. And we will notice that there are certain elements which it is not able to identify, and that's where the automation will fail. And then we enable the fallback mechanism, and then we can run the exact same scenario to see if it is able to identify these objects. While this automation is running, if there are any questions, feel free to type it in and I'll be happy to take them. So just logged into the Salesforce platform. It is going to look for a specific order, and it will look for the specific order and it will try to cancel that particular order. And as you can see, it had some application changes because of which it is not able to find the required object, and then the automation fails here. So now let's enable the fallback mechanism, and then we will see how this works. For now, I'm just going to log off from this platform, the Salesforce platform. I'll just close this browser and then run this automation. But before I run this, I want to change the fallback mechanism. Just for testing purpose, I'll just enable the AI text-based fallback. But the latest one is generative AI vision-based fallback, but this should do for this particular scenario. We'll go back here and then run this automation again. We'll give it a few seconds for it to log into the Salesforce application, and we should be able to see that it is able to extract the required, enter the data into specific fields, which it is not able to, it was not able to identify earlier, but it will also tell us that it was able to use GenAI to identify this particular object. So this is where if the universal recorder is not able to identify, it look at the LLM fallback. And now you can see the failure is prevented with generative recorder, generative AI text-based fallback. So we had initially built an application, the automation a while ago, and this was the DOMEX path for that. But now, because the automation was not able to identify based on this DOMEX path, it was able to extract it using generative AI. And now I'll say, yeah, this is okay, go for it. And now it'll use that particular properties to continue with the automation. And then it should be able to interact with this particular order. And then it was able to successfully cancel the order as well. So this is how you can build self-healing automations that not only just runs when you're building automations and the application is changing, even in the real time, if there are any changes, it can identify the exact properties needed to continue executing your automations. Okay, that was like a quick demo about, we we can go through like a lot of these demos, but typically this one we wanted to showcase, and a lot of these demos are also available on our Automation Anywhere University portal. So please do check out the training, the Delta training for the .37 release, where you can try out a lot more of these features.
All right, over to Inacio. Inacio, are you with us?
Yes. Yeah. So before sharing the demo, I would take a moment to share what the demo is about. What's the use case about? So have you ever imagined like how a simple idea, a spark, turns into a product? So that's something to like think about, because what happens is basically we have a guy from the development, the innovations team that thinks about a product idea, and then it's not like he has thought something and it has like gone in the market directly. There is a driving force, a team behind it that kind of analyzes the competitions, the market, what are its product competitors, the pricing, the taglines. And after that, even then we have the marketing team, the sales team. We have all these teams coming into the picture to analyze how this product will be a success. And then after all this taxing process, we have the product in the market. It seems like it would take more than weeks, maybe even months to like get that particular product in the market. This use case revolves around this process where we have a weeks long of process coming down to minutes with the next gen process composer and the swim lanes and the API tasks, approvals, perfectly fitting in this use case and streamlining the process to get this on speed. Let me share my screen and I'll show demo. I'll be pausing in between the demo to explain a few terminologies, few stuff. So yeah, let me play the video. I hope my screen's visible. Shreya, can you give me a confirmation on that?
Yep, your screen is visible.
Yep, sure. So like the way I said, we are using API tasks or team of bots in particular swim lanes, and we are trying to launch a product. I've kept this use case around my favorite beverage, that's coffee. So there are a certain fields, certain aspects that are like considered by launching a product to the market, like the name, the taste notes, what market we are launching it to, or what is the price that we have decided. Once the idea is submitted, we have the team of AI agents analyzing that particular idea, and it's going ahead. Let me take a pause over here. Yeah. So it is analyzing the idea. It's going on the front end via APIs to the marketplace. It's fetching all the competitors that are there in the market. That is similar to the idea. Like say, suppose right now I've set the price to be 400 and I want chicory as an ingredient in that. It will analyze which other competitors have that same price, that same flavor present. It will also give that particular customer the competitors positive and the negative. And finally, based out of all this data and the product idea that's submitted, it will give a final summary that's there over your present on what is the proposed idea, what can we do about it, and there seems to be a gap in the market. How can we fill that gap up with this product idea? So these are the competitors that it has fetched from the front end. And based on all the competitors and the product idea, it generates a summary. And going ahead, it refines your product idea to meet that gap. Like say, suppose your idea had some points missing, like maybe instead of 400, why don't you keep it at 399? Maybe your price change would increase your sales. maybe some strategic note, so some keywords here and there to enhance your product and make it better. Once you have chosen your product, then the main approval tasks begin. Like the way I said, approval tasks go from marketing to sales to production, the product managers. What we're seeing on the screen now is the product manager receiving the request. The process also makes sure that the key people of the team are notified via mails, via Outlook. The product manager checks the product idea, the strategic notes, its competitors. It also, I'll just take a pause over here. Yeah. It also checks out the opportunity that is there in the market right now, that there is a gap in the market right now. There are similar products, but those products don't offer what this product will. That is something that the use case mainly focuses on how to use this AI agents backed by bots, backed by approvals, and to streamline the entire process into minutes. So the product manager analyzes, sees the benefits of it, approves, and the other team members also get their notifications, like marketing lead, the sales lead. Going ahead, we are going to see the marketing manager's point of view, where the AI agent analyzes the selected product idea. It sees the strategic notes, the executive summary, what impact will it have on the market. I'll just take a pause on this part. Yeah. What impact it will have on the market, and on what target audience it is on. It will also give other GenAI related information, that is its unique value proposition, its brand positioning, basically assisting the marketing, the production managers, and the sales manager. And also, one thing to take note over here is that this all is taken strictly with respect to the marketing strategies and the sales strategies of the particular company. All these documents are stored in the knowledge base of the AI agents, and everything is referred and is taken only with respect to that particular company. So since it is marketing, we have content strategies, we have how we are going to push this product in the market, and all those key steps to be done. When it comes to sales, we analyze that particular price. I'll just take a pause here as well. Yeah. When it comes to sales, we analyze that particular product, the price. We predict what's going to be the output. Like, say, suppose on the first launch, we are launching 10,000 pieces of the product. What is going to be the profit? What's going to be the loss? What's going to be the margin? How are we going to divide the GTM, that's go-to-market plan, maybe with 4 phases, like the way it has given 4 phases aligned. And along with all of this, it also gives KPIs, like where are we gonna be spending a lot, where are we going to be spending the least, what is our future. It is basically predicting everything in detail, along with the low-hanging fruits. That is the data that's available. Once the marketing and the sales managers approve these products, the AI agent teamed up with the bots, and by applying a simple API task to publish this particular product along with its keynotes. I'll just take a pause on this, 10 seconds at the back. Yeah. So it will apply all the changes given to it, all the key terminologies, the taglines, the flavors of that particular product, and launch it in the market. So right now I have Ina's Coffee Pro Pack in the market, along with those key terms like strong, aromatic, and smooth, with the pricing $3.99. Going ahead, I'll be showcasing how it is done behind the scenes. So using the next-gen process composer, you can precisely define which team comes into the picture. Like, say, suppose right now I have the initial idea submission. It's the innovation development team member. giving out an idea saying that this product would make an impact in the market. After that, we have the other team like coming into the picture, and each team can be defined with their individual swim lanes, like how we have the suggestion generations, the internal reviews with the product manager, the go-to-market planning strategies and workflows, the finalizations. All of these can be precisely defined using swim lanes and the other features as well. Like say, suppose we are trying to push a product to the front end, the API tasks come into the picture, connecting to the knowledge base, the AI agents, the bots, and the team of the entire bots and comes into the picture. So that's how this entire use case revolves around, and how the next gen process composer streamlines and smoothens the process that is maybe a weeks and a months long into simple minutes with approvals and GenAI backed ideas. I will stop sharing my screen. Any questions on this?
All right, if you have any questions for Anasio, please feel free to drop them in the Q&A. Along with, if you have any questions for any of our other speakers, please feel free to drop them in the Q&A as well. Meanwhile, I'm just going to go into my screen. And while I'm doing that, I have pasted a link in the chat for our community events. So please feel free to browse the link for upcoming events and join us there. All right, hopefully you can see my screen. So this is the announcement for our next dev meetup. But before that, no wait, our next dev meetup is going to happen on August 28th. It will be out on the event page soon. And if you would like to know as soon as we announce the event, please make sure to go to the page that I've put in the chat and just subscribe to our events page. That way you'll be notified anytime we publish an event. And we also have a link tree in case you want to take a screenshot of this, where we will be updating all our events. So our product clubs, user groups, dev meetups, all our events will be on that page. So make sure that you have that as well. All right, I think with that, we have come to the end of the session, unless there are any questions. Okay. So I think we'll be wrapping up today's dev meetup. Thank you so much to our speakers, Nishi and Arjun and Inacio, for taking the time to explain the amazing enhancements in our next gen automation and our next gen process composer, and all about the PRE and the use case. We hope that you enjoyed this session. If you did, please tell us, please spread the word on social media. And if you end up building anything cool with our next gen process composer, please do tell us as well. We would love to hear that. And meanwhile, there's also another thing that we would love for you all to tell us is what kind of topics would you like us to do next. So please feel free to include that on our social media or reach out to us on our community email. That's community@automationanywhere.com. Or you can also go ahead and fill out this survey and tell us which topics or which products you would like to see next. Thank you all for joining us. Hope to see you at the next dev meetup on August 28th. Please mark your calendars and stay updated on our page. See you all. Bye-bye.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.